In this video, we're going to implement the Bootstrap carousel. Okay, so if we go to getbootstrap.com and go to JavaScript and then to carousel, which is right here, and it gives you some examples. Okay, basically it's just a standard slideshow, and it gives you the code. We also have optional, we can use captions, which we'll be doing. Gives you the code for that and gives you all kinds of options through that you can set through JavaScript. Alright, so I'm going to just grab the code for this first basic slideshow. Okay, so we want to grab all that. Whoops, what did I do? And we want to copy it and then go, actually let me close these tabs out. Whoops, I didn't want to close that one. Alright, so we want to put this right under the main navigation. I'm going to paste this inside of the section. Let me just fix this indentation. Okay, so we can see that it's a div with the ID of carousel example generic. Class of carousel and slide, and then a data ride attribute for carousel. Alright, so I'm going to change the name of this ID to something more user friendly. We're just going to call it my carousel. Alright. And then we have the indicators, and basically what this is the little circle, little dots you can see here that we can click on, and it'll take us to that particular slide. Okay, so that's what that is. I think we can actually leave that how it is. It's set up to have 3 slides, which is what we're going to have. Basically, it's slide 0, 1, and 2. Okay, so we don't have to change that. Let's see, wrapper for slides. We have a class of carousel inner. This is going to be the first slide. Okay, so basically this represents one slide. This represents another. This one has the active class, and that's what's going to make it first. And basically we have an image. Okay, this is going to be the background image, not the inline image. Alright, and then everything needs to go in here. Alright, so all of our content, even the inline image, has to go in carousel caption, or it'll break. It won't work if you try to put it outside of this div. Alright, and like I said, this is the second item. We're going to have 3, so we might as well add one more. And let's see, these dots here we can get rid of. So let's just save this and see what happens. Alright, so this is what it looks like. Not very nice. Let's go ahead and add the background images. We're also going to need to do some styling. So as far as the image, let's get rid of the alt just to make things look simpler. And this is going to be in the image folder, and it's going to be called bg1.jpg, I think. Let me just double check that. I think it's a JPEG. Yeah. Okay, so we got background 1. I'm just going to copy this, and this will be BG2, and this one will be BG3. Alright, so you can see that the background images is there, and it's scrolling. Now if I click on the arrows, it's not doing anything, and that's because we haven't matched up our IDs yet. And you'll also notice there's some space here. I think that's because of our sample template. I think we have some margin. I'm sorry, yeah, some margin, I believe. So let's open up style CSS. Oh no, it's a padding top 50. And the nav bar, I believe, is only 30 pixels. So let's try to change that. And reload, and there we go. Alright, so let's keep going. Let's make these arrows work. Alright, so if we go back to the HTML, and you can see that the main div here has the ID of my carousel, which I'll copy, and then down where the arrows are, we still have the ID of carousel example generic. So basically we just want to change that. We want to change that to, what was it? I think it was my carousel. Alright, same thing down here. Okay, so it should work now, I think. Yep. Alright, so now that the arrows are working, we can go ahead and start adding the content. Okay, so for the first one, let's see, we have the image and we have the carousel caption. I'm actually going to wrap a container around the carousel caption. We want that restricted. We want it put in the middle. Alright, and then inside of carousel caption, we're going to use a grid. Okay, so we're going to have a row div. And then we'll have some columns. Okay, so the first one is going to be a 7-column div. So we'll do col md7. And that's going to be the text. Alright, and then we'll have another div which will be 5 columns. Okay, so we'll do class is col md5. And that is where the image is going to go, the inline image. Alright, so let's do the content first. Okay, so in the 7-column div, let's put an H1 tag. And we'll just say affordable web hosting. And then under the H1, we're going to have a list. And we're going to give it a class. Give it a class of feature list. And then we'll have a list item and let's say unlimited disk space. And I'm actually we're gonna put in a font awesome icon here. So let's do an I class, and we're gonna do FA check. And that'll give us a little check mark icon. Oh, we gotta close this. Alright, and then I'm just gonna copy this and paste it a few times. Actually, you know what? Instead of writing all this out, I'm just gonna paste it in. I don't want the video to take too long. So I'm gonna just replace this. Alright, so if you want to pause the video and copy this, you can. And then underneath the list, we're going to have a button. So I'm going to put it into a paragraph tag. And well, it's actually a link, but it's going to look like a button. Okay, so we want to give it the class of btn primary. And it's just going to go to nothing. And the text will say, sign up today. Alright, so let's save that and reload. It doesn't look very good at the moment, but we will fix that. Well, now let's go ahead and add the image in the other column. So it's going to be image src. It's in the img folder and it's called servers1.png. Alright, so again, this looks pretty horrible as far as alignment, but we're going to fix that. The next thing I want to do is add the other two slides. Okay, so we'll go down to here, and actually I'm going to copy this whole carousel caption div, and I'm going to replace this. Okay, now the image is going to be servers 2, and then as far as the content, I'm going to get rid of the H1 and the unordered list and the link. Actually, no, I'll leave the link. Let's get rid of that. Alright, and actually we do need an H1, but it's going to say something different. Alright, this is going to say 24/7 support. Alright, and then I'm just going to paste in a paragraph. Alright, and then we have the link, which is good. So that looks fine. Now I'm going to copy this again, this carousel caption, which ends right here. And I'm going to paste it in here. Alright, and then this one, we'll change the heading to 99.9% uptime. And we'll just leave that text as well. Alright, so that should be good. We just want to change this to servers 3. And we'll reload. Okay, there's our second one, and there's our third one. Okay, so now we need to style this. So let's go to our style.css file. And our carousel should have a class of carousel. Whoop. And we're going to set a minimum height of 500 pixels. And we're going to set a margin bottom. Margin bottom will be 60 pixels. Alright, so that's just the main carousel, not much of a difference. So we need to do the content now. So we're gonna style the carousel caption. Which wraps all of the content. Okay, so first thing we want to set a z-index to 10. Okay, make sure it's on top of everything else. And by default, it has a centered text. The carousel's text is centered. I want to change that. And I want to set it to the left. Okay, and then we want to move everything down because it's scrunched up at the top. And by default, we have it's positioned absolute. So we need to use top, bottom, left, and right. Okay, so from the top, let's say 70 pixels. Because right now it's at 0. Okay, and you can see it's smushed up against the top. We're going to move it down to 70. Alright, and then from the right, we're going to say 10%. And then from the left, the default is 20, which makes it kind of squished in here in the middle, especially on bigger screens. You can't really see it in this resolution, but I just want to bring that in a little bit. So right, left, and then let's just change font size to 22 pixels. Okay, we'll see what that looks like. Okay, so that does look much better, but we're still having some issues here. So let's go ahead and just keep styling here. Now we're going to do the actual items. So we want carousel and then dot item. And I just want to make sure, let's set that height to 500 pixels, and also the background color. Background color is 777, and for the image, we're going to say carousel inner item image. Alright, and we're going to position this absolute. We're going to say top 0 and left 0. And the minimum width is going to be 100%. And then the height 500. Let me fix this. Okay, so let me just see what that looks like. Whoops, I actually want this one. Alright, so the text is now all visible. The image, now the image is a little big, and I believe it's actually coming out of its div, so we just want to set a width of it to 100% so it stays within its parent div. So let's find those server images, and I'm just going to give each one a class. I'm just going to give them all a class of server image. Okay, so I'll save that, and inside the style CSS, we'll say server image width is 100%. And now if we reload, let's just make sure that it changes. Okay, reload, and there you go, it's smaller. Okay, so now they fit properly. So that's it, really. It's a pretty nice looking slider, very simple. In the next video, we'll go ahead and do the icon blocks underneath, as well as the pricing tables.